Robert Matthews had been up since 5 that morning. He ironed his best polo shirt twice to get the collar just right. At 42 years old, he knew this interview might be his last real chance. The marketing position at Henderson Solutions paid enough to finally catch up on the bills that had been piling up since his wife, Sarah, passed away 3 years ago. His daughter, Emma, was starting college next fall, and the scholarships would only cover so much. Robert arrived 20 minutes early. He sat in his truck in the parking lot, reviewing the notes he had made about the company. His hands were shaking slightly, not from nervousness about the interview itself, but from the weight of everything riding on it. The receptionist smiled warmly when he walked in. She offered him coffee, which he politely declined because his stomach was already in knots. Then he waited. Victoria Chun was the director of human resources. At 38, she had seen hundreds of candidates walk through those glass doors. She prided herself on being thorough and fair. This morning, she had 3 interviews scheduled, and Robert was the second. When she called him, and she noticed immediately how carefully he had dressed. The polo shirt was modest, but clean and pressed. His shoes were old but polished. There was something about the way he carried himself that caught her attention. A quiet dignity mixed with visible exhaustion. The interview started well enough. Robert spoke about his experience in his previous marketing role before the company downsized. He had good ideas and a genuine enthusiasm for the work. But then Victoria asked about the gap in his resume. 2 years with no formal employment. Robert's throat tightened. He explained that his wife had gotten sick, that he had become her primary caregiver, while also raising their daughter. After Sarah died, he had taken freelance work to stay home with Emma, who was struggling with the loss. He had applied for this position because Emma was stronger now and he needed stability. Victoria listened. She made notes. Her face remained professionally neutral. Then she asked a question that changed everything. Tell me how you plan to handle the demands of this position, given your family responsibilities. Our team works long hours, especially during campaign launches. Can you commit to that level of dedication? Robert felt something crack inside his chest. He thought about Emma eating dinner alone again, about the promise he made to Sarah that their daughter would never feel abandoned, about all the school events he had already missed trying to make ends meet with odd jobs. He looked down at the resume in his hands, the paper that reduced his life to bullet points and dates. When he looked back up at Victoria, his eyes were honest but defeated. Miss Chun, I appreciate your time today, but I think we both know I am not the right fit for what you need. I cannot promise you 60-hour weeks. I cannot tell you that work will always come first. My daughter has already lost her mother. She needs to know that her father will be there. I thought I could make this work, but I was wrong. Victoria started to respond, but Robert was already standing. He left his resume on the desk, walked out of the office, past the receptionist, through those glass doors into the bright afternoon. He made it about 50 feet into the parking lot before he had to stop. The weight of failure pressed down on his shoulders. He had failed the interview, failed to provide for Emma the way Sarah would have wanted, failed to be enough. That was when he heard the sound of footsteps running behind him. Miss Chin was calling his name. She was holding something in her hand, the crumpled papers he had dropped. Robert turned around confused. Victoria reached him slightly out of breath. Her professional mask had slipped. There were tears in her eyes. Mr. Matthews, please wait. You did not fail this interview. I did. She took a breath. 10 years ago, I was climbing the corporate ladder as fast as I could. I missed my father's last birthday because of a client meeting. He died 2 weeks later. I have spent every day since then wondering if he knew how much I loved him. When you walked out that door, I saw myself. But the version of me who made the wrong choice. Robert did not know what to say. Victoria continued. This company needs people who understand what really matters. We need people who know how to prioritize and make hard decisions and show up with integrity. You have been managing the hardest job in the world for the past 3 years. Single parenthood while grieving. That takes more skill than any marketing campaign. She handed him back his papers. The position has flexible hours. We have remote work options 2 days a week. And I will personally ensure that family commitments are respected. If you still want this job, it is yours. But more importantly, I needed you to know that choosing your daughter does not make you a failure. It makes you exactly the kind of person we need more of in this world. Robert felt tears streaming down his face. He was not embarrassed. Victoria was crying too. Sometimes he realized the bravest thing you can do is admit what you really need. He took the papers from her hand. When do I start? Victoria smiled through her tears. How about we discuss that over coffee? And bring Emma by sometime. I would love to meet the young woman who has such an incredible father. As they walked back toward the building, together Robert felt something he had not felt in 3 years. Hope, not the desperate kind that comes from wishing things were different, but the real kind that comes from being seen for who you really are and being valued for it. That evening when Robert told Emma about the job, she hugged him tighter than she had in months. She told him she was proud of him. That mom would be proud too. Robert realized that sometimes the interview you fail is actually the test you pass, the test of knowing who you are, and refusing to compromise on what matters most. 3 months later, Robert was thriving in his new position. Victoria had become not just his boss, but a mentor and friend. The company culture was slowly changing too. Other employees felt empowered to set boundaries and prioritize their families. And it all started because one man had the courage to walk away, and one woman had the courage to run after him. Sometimes the greatest success comes from being willing to fail on your own terms. And sometimes the person we think is interviewing us is actually the one being tested. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe for more stories about real people making brave choices. And leave a comment telling us about a time when walking away led you somewhere better. Your story matters too.